To begin this, our 50-second review, the review of the key, let me tell you a little story, a little mind antidote from all the way back in 2002. When season 2 premiered for that first time in early June as a teaser during Cartoon Network's summer lineup, and we got the clip that would end up becoming the beginning of New Order. I knew back then that the return of Code Lyoko would be something momentous. Very rarely in television do you see a special moment, something that you know that in the future, when you get all of it, it's going to change the way you think. It's going to change the way you view television. It's going to break limitations and set new bars. And right from that first clip of New Order, I knew that season would be so. There have been some moments on this journey. Some big rants and some episodes not worth really getting into. But when it comes to the key, it's fully loaded. Not only because the episode itself is loaded, but because the feelings behind it, my feelings behind it, are loaded. 2002 me, when I had just become a high school graduate, was a little bit lost in the scheme of things. And after watching all the episodes religiously all the way up, was curious to see how they would finish it. But I wasn't emotionally ready. Not in 2002. Not when I watched it again in 2006. And even preparing to watch it again without interruption for the first time in nearly 14 years, I was not emotionally ready. That's what this episode does to you as a Code Lyoko fan. It wrecks you. It breaks you. It changes your opinion on television shows in general. In the year of our Twilight Sparkle 2024, the shock twist where the villain wins, the shocking turnaround, the tragedy, it's not written for, it's expected. As writers of the modern day try to stay on top of the internet's constant theorizing, trying to act smarter than the room, trying to dissolve fandoms that would naturally occur because show is good, trying to act as though they knew all along what's best for the course of the series. Shock twist. Jon Snow dying all of a sudden and then being resurrected. Shock twist. The handicapped kid that was thrown out the window now rules over the kingdoms with no Iron Throne. Shock twist. Like everything in Rise of Skywalker. Shock twist. Modern day writers tend to do this. Not out of obligation, not out of it being written well, not for it being earned, but for it being different. In 2002, the key was different. Not because of a shock twist that was written in from a bitter writer or propaganda to some, but because it was earned. All through the 51 episodes previous, it was earned. Yep, the key isn't just a payoff for season 2 of Code Lyoko. It's a payoff of all of Code Lyoko to this point. 51 episodes of known unknowns, mysteries, truths, secrets, everything. Modern shows try to go for the happy ending. Everything's alright. The good guys have won. The triumph. The romantic couple finally together. Everything. They try to go for the happy ending. And you want to know why they try to go for the happy ending? Because they're afraid of you. They don't trust you. They don't think you're emotionally ready for an ending that might not be so happy. Even in Miraculous Ladybug, the ending ends up happy to Gabriel Agresk, but it comes off as a tone of joyful bittersweet. But back in 2002, there was no such qualifiers, no such fear of the fandom revolt or lack of knowledge. In 2002, Code Lyoko just did it. They gave you the worst case scenario, the nightmare, the thing you couldn't imagine. And in 2002, villains winning wasn't the cool thing to do. It wasn't the shock before for the happy ending. It wasn't the mid-game twist or the mid-trilogy twist. This was what they wanted to do. The ending note. We would have to wait an entire 9 months before seeing the devastation that would befall. They left us with this. They trusted us to come to grips with it. They trusted us. The key is an episode that is loaded right from the word go. Coming right off the heels of Revelation, if not within canon, the very next day. Jeremy has been obsessed with the diary, listening to it into the deep hours of the night, shocked by its many, many secrets. The last of which he's finally gotten to. The video diary finally confirming that everything that Franz Hopper Xanafied said in episode 49 was the absolute truth. It was a multi-agent system designed to defeat an evil that the French government was fearing. But then it went rogue, went bad. France, in an effort to try to stop it, discovered, well, the time program. The thing that would save the Lyoko warriors so many times would also doom them to worse and worse challenge. France learned, sadly, the knife cuts both ways, unfortunately. And unlike Jeremy, he couldn't stop. He had to keep going. Eventually, your demons catch up with you. Oh, you thought that little tease of me having to face my demons had no relevancy to the episode, did you? But no. The key is about facing your demons, or rather, the demons of the past coming to face you directly. And you having to deal with the consequences of not only failure, but the consequences of past failure. And learning to have the strength, the willpower, and the heart to keep going and even to atone. France made the sacrifice that all good fathers should always make. He didn't even think about it going wrong. He just knew he and his daughter had to be safe. Safe from whatever this is. Safe from Xana. Safe from the government. Safe. So we created a world, a place, an escape to be safe. It didn't turn out, obviously, as well as he thought. Safety begat crisis, which turned into chaos and tragedy ultimately. Once Aelita discovers the truth, as Aelita has shown, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4, but by this point, 6 times, she is sacrificial by nature. She will sacrifice herself before anyone, anything that shouldn't come to harm does. She has proven this multiple times this season. 4, in fact, and this is the 5th. And it's on the 5th time that you finally, if you haven't gotten it already, understood. Aelita's the real leader of this team, and I will not even debate otherwise. It's her heart that keeps the Leoka Warriors going. It's her heart that keeps the show going throughout its entire path, throughout its 20 years in Memorance, and possibly in 2024 Resurrection. She is the beating heart of why this show works. Why the series Bible was rewritten from the ground up for her. This is her story. And it's in the key that for the first of many times, the mirror gets turned. And she decides to take agency because she knows Jeremy won't. We know Jeremy won't. Jeremy never does, even at the end. Takes no agency. Leaves the fight to others. Hopes and prays. That's what separates them. That's why the relationship between them would be completely fucking toxic. Among other things. But I'll make that into a separate supplementary video. A bookmark, if you will. But this is why. Trust me, it's easy to fall in love with a character. It's easy to call a favorite character, and it can happen pretty easily. But when it comes to Aelita Hopper's chauffeur, it was the easiest. It still is the easiest. Of all the characters that I have ever loved in fiction, this was the easiest to get behind. Even without knowing the knowledge of what this episode brings. But yes, she, knowing the cost, turns the computer off herself, thinking of the world first. For now, we know what the Skimpozoa wants. Just like France wanted to, Xana now wants to escape. And now he knows the way how. He's known the way how the entire season. And he's plotted to get it done. And he's got one last trap under his skin. To give back the very thing he stole 52 episodes ago. To use it as bait. And the Ryoka warriors have no choice but to take it. But even Aelita knew at the start that this was bait. That's why she did what she did. Turned the computer off. Ended her nightmare, her father's nightmare. And she was trying to help them. And trying to think ahead. But of course, Jeremy's a Stonewall, an idiot. So thus, the supposed final mission has to take place. And it goes perfectly. Not to Jeremy's plan, though. Ever in fiction, when a villain wins, it's usually right before the episode in which the villains rise up at their peak of their power, only to be brought low. Watch any episode of Power Rangers at the end of its seasons. Watch even Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball. The villains are always brought to their highest before they're devastatingly brought low. Not this show. Not this time. Xana's brought to the creepiest, most terrifying, and most harrowing of highs. The mission supposedly goes successful even with the spirit of France supposedly helping through controlling some mantas. But even Xana planned for this, setting the perfect trap. The warriors eliminated, no defense, and ultimately, due to a manipulation of a room, nowhere to go. The Skimpozoa wins. We see the terrifying negative effects, the thing that we've been trying to avoid for 25 episodes, but let's be frank, it's the thing we've been trying to avoid for 51 episodes. Harm coming to this girl. Fearing the worst. Living sometimes anxiously. But here it is. The negative effect. The devastation. In 2002, this moment broke me. In 2006, this moment broke me, and on the last day of 2023, when I watched the episode, as the year new was about to begin, this moment, I'm stronger now. but it still shocks me, still breaks me somewhat to its core to see the Schizozoic get what it wants. To hear the horror in Jeremy's voice as he states the obvious. That Aelita has been lost, and now Xana is free. And for a terrifying 90 seconds, we are given the result worst. No tricks, no shocks, no trying to get ahead of the internet, no we're smarter than you, just delivering what has been teased for the last 25. Close call after close call after close call. But no close call given. The result. The one time that Aelita was absolutely correct from the start because of Jeremy's bullheaded stupidity. He finally, at long last, for not listening, gets his comeuppance. Not in Marabunta, not in tip-top shape, not in the girl of the dreams, not in any of these episodes. It's here in the key that he finally gets his karmatic due for not listening to her. This is the result. But Jeremy Belclaw is a lucky bastard, though. The luckiest of bastards. Because he's lucky that Rance Humper won't allow his daughter to die. Using his own power, he resets everything. But most importantly, restores what Xana took. Memories of a life lost. The tragedy. All the flashbacks given this season are finally given full color and full context in order. We see the origin of the origin. The tragedy of a family separated. And Xana's rise to power. Xana is free to do what he wants on the internet, gaining power. The villain has won. The darkest day achieved. To have the ability as a human being to sacrifice for anyone, for anything, for your job, for your career, for your family, for whatever it takes. Sacrifice is one of the toughest things to ever do. It's the most selfless thing you can ever do. Sacrifice. That's the theme of the key. And for greater notion, the theme of season 2 itself. Sacrifice. For the last 2 years, going on 3 in this universe, Aelita is sacrificed. And for what? Now she knows the what. And now she realizes that sacrifice is a family trait. Her father sacrificed himself twice. By the end of this journey, he'll do it again. Sacrifice is a family trait, but sacrifice leads to devastating realization as the group swears to keep fighting and keep looking. Don't let the cheerful upbeatness of Breakaway shatter the moment. In fact, I wish in the one time they would have not used that song in the credits. I wish they would have chosen something more somber in truth. Because this episode is melancholic. It is the melancholy of the Hopper tragedy, the melancholy of villain victory with uncertainty, and trust me, the future's going to get more uncertain. Code Lyoko Season 2 ends in a way that most modern shows wouldn't dare to end. They wouldn't dare to write this. They'd be too afraid. This is why Code Lyoko is both praised nowadays, but is also looked as a relic of the past. And one of the things that I think most modern writers today would look at an episode like this and be so worried that they would show a character death and a villain victory all at the same time and do it in the span of 2 minutes. But yet, this show did. This episode does. To say that it is a 6 out of 6 is something that, by the tone in which I've given this review, should go understated. Watching this season with a more critical eye, it's only made this episode and its impact to the later series and the total series rewrite, the redo of the Bible, it's only made this season shine brighter. It wouldn't be until My Little Pony Season 5 of Friendship is Magic that I would find a season even its equal in execution. It changed the way that I watch shows. I can't watch most television shows because of the writing perfection of this entire season, and the key is its period. Next week, we'll talk about the season as a whole and grade it with a score before we walk into the most forgotten season. So forgotten, I name it the 13 Ghost. As we begin the third chapter of the Aelita Diaries, next week we take a step back to look at a season that starts with uncertainty and ends that way. The tragedy hidden in the fifth sector of Scipio. The secrets are now revealed. 2 seasons are now complete. 52 down, 42 to go. Next week we put a score on it before we unwittingly unlock the most forgotten season of this great show, and we rediscover the 13 Ghost. Find peace in your own nirvana and never be afraid of sacrifice.